Pakistani American was actually a Pakistani born. So his mother was American, his father was Pakistani, his name was Dawood Gilani, incidentally said to be a distant relative of a former Pakistani Prime Minister too. So he was a close associate of Gilani. Let me now quote that statement again. And operatives of designated terrorist organizations Lashkar-e-Taiba and Huji, which is Harkatul Jihad-e-Islami, along with other Pakistan-based co-conspirators to carry out the devastating terror attacks in Mumbai in 2008. A total of 166 persons were killed and 238 injured in that deadly terror attack. Both Lashkar-e-Taiba and Huji, which is Harkatul Jihad-e-Islami, have been declared as terrorist organizations by the Government of India under the UAPA, or the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967. It's a very detailed statement that's been put out by the National Investigation Agency, because do understand, it's a very big day for India. In a moment from now, we'll also play out a statement made by then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, who was very unhappy and upset at that time when Rana had been let off in that FBI case in Chicago. But India relentlessly pursued this case, and especially after Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, he made it a point that Government of India will pursue this 2019 onwards. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, he's pursued it relentlessly through government agencies, and now finally that effort is paying off. And I want to quickly bring in Ashutosh Mishra, who joins us from Tihar prison for more on this. He's of course outside the Tihar prison. And Ashutosh, I believe there's a special cell that's been prepared. There are those barracks where high-profile terrorists and under trials are kept. That is where this terrorist is also likely to be lodged in case he's given judicial custody. But if he's in police custody or NIA custody, he remains at NIA headquarters.
That's one of the most safest, secure cell that the NIA has within its headquarters, which is guarded by the central forces. And yes, you rightly said that after the investigation is completed, after the NIA is able to file a charge sheet, and all the agencies get the desired information and the intelligence input that could be potentially used by them to avert further such kind of, Pakistani, these attacks. Clearly, we know that there is a high protective cell. The barracks are made within, and it was India Today to tell you that a couple of days ago we had this information that not only Tihar jail in Delhi, but also Arthur Road in Mumbai, Yarwada jail in Pune, all these jail authorities were told to prepare a high security barracks, because as we know that in terms of investigations, the most wanted terrorists that India has captured, India has got extradition, but subsequently when it comes to the intelligence inputs, what is happening in Pakistan, how he has been cooperating with different agencies, and so far clearly who all have been backing up, and whether there was even long-term plan by these the Pakistan's ISI and other such terror organization, that will be very significant information and the intelligence input that our agencies would be able to gather during the questioning, the interrogation, and that makes him a really high valuable asset for these agencies.
Yes.
So his security will be paramount, and this is also the justice and the nature of India, that we even will give him the legal aid. He will be protected, he will exercise all his legal rights, and then I will make sure that all these strong case that we have against Tahawwur Rana, he will be convicted by the court, and then the court will announce his final fate. And till his last breath is for sure that here right behind me in Tihar jail, Tahawwur Rana will, take his last breath. Even if it is a capital punishment, or he will be behind the bar for his lifetime, but all his fate will be written off here right behind me at the Tihar jail, Gaurav.
Oh, absolutely. And Shivani, Nalini and Akshita are with me on this broadcast. And Akshita, you were speaking to survivors. You've been speaking to officers in the NIA. What's also extremely crucial, the man who heads the National Investigation Agency today, Sadanand Date, he was the additional commissioner of Mumbai Police during 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. And when I'd interviewed him, after that operation at Kama Hospital, it was crucial. So these Mumbai police officers, Akshita, they didn't have adequate weapons. They didn't even know the kind of attack that was taking place. They thought it was a gang war initially, or some gangsters had opened fire at Cafe Leopold. But these terrorists had assault rifles, and the way they opened fire, they attacked the police through a hail of bullets. The police fired back, trying to save people who were at that Kama Hospital, nurses, patients, their relatives. That officer today heads the NIA. So he knows what Tahawwur Rana and these Pakistani terrorists did. He knows it like the back of his hand. He braved it, Akshita.
Very, very true, Gaurav. And for many of these officers, it's very personal that Tahawwur Rana has been brought back, because this is the man who plotted, who masterminded, who helped conduct recce's, who himself was in Mumbai just before the attack, who stayed in the Taj Hotel. So for them, it's personal. Even for them, they've been seeking justice for the last many years. And the ones who are involved in this investigation are so many who saw what unfolded in 26/11, who were part of the operation as well. So for them also, to ensure that more details emerge of how this entire mission was planned and how these terrorists who planned this entire terror attack over years, what kind of help and support they got, particularly from Pakistan. The fact that, you have an Abu Jundal, you have an Ajmal Kasab, you have a Tahawwur Rana, these people who have been nailed essentially in the 26/11 terror attacks, that's 3. There are so many others, Gaurav, who were involved, in names of which we've been displaying on our screens constantly. The NIA will be looking at digging out those details. So the LET commanders, the ISI moles, all of them who were involved in these terror attacks. 17 years on, it's extremely crucial, Gaurav, for India to nail the Pakistan role, which is why right now you have statements coming in from Pakistan saying we have nothing to do with Tahawwur Rana. For obvious reasons, they'll try to distance themselves because he's going to sing in custody. The officials will ensure that he sings in custody, names and shames every single terrorist, every single officer, supposed officer in the Pakistan Army and ISI who was involved in these terror attacks.
And there's one thing that our viewers, they know about this, but I just want to remind them, Shivani, look at these Pakistani terrorists and terrorist supporters. When he was in America, when he was safely back in Chicago, when he was watching those images of 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, as all of us were worried and shocked at the terror unfolding, he was celebrating. He was celebrating his success. 17 years later, when he was being sent to India, he was crying. He said, I'm a Muslim of Pakistani origin. I'm ex-army captain of Pakistan Army. By sending me to India, you'll be signing my death warrant. So this man tried every trick under the trade, every trick to avoid being sent to India. And yet, he's lost. India has won. Shivani.
Gaurav, Tahawwur Rana tried all tricks. He tried all kind of acts to evade this, to escape this extradition. But ultimately, he has to face justice in India. He is in India. The day the terror attacks happened, he was celebrating in America. But today, Indians are celebrating this moment when the perpetrator is on the Indian soil. And very laughable excuses that have been made by Tahawwur Rana that India, he would not be safe in India because India is not safe for minorities. So all these excuses he made to avoid coming to India, to avoid this extradition. But remember, there was a pressure and a persuasion effort going on from the NIA and on the diplomatic levels too since very long. And the announcements about this extradition came when Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in the United States. He was meeting President Donald Trump. So that was a big victory for India. And now Tahawwur Rana is in India. He'll be facing law here, and he has conspired this massacre that happened in Mumbai, where 166 people lost their lives. And this is when he was there to recce. He was talking to Headley. He was conspiring, planning this particular attack. All kind of fake documents that were provided to these terrorists who killed people in the hotels and the cafes in Mumbai. And now he is in India. The investigation soon will begin and bring justice to these people who were involved in this particular attack. And this has once again exposed Pakistan, and it will further expose Pakistan.
You know, India today has the finest team of reporters on ground. I have Nalini Sharma standing by at the NIA court. Shivani, Akshita, all our colleagues, they've been tracking the story not just through the day today, but through several days. And we will get you much more on this big story as India's most wanted terrorist for the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Tahawwur Rana of the Pakistan Army earlier. living in America and Canada is finally brought to India to face justice. A quick break. Back with the headlines, back with our top stories, and we'll tell you much more about his evil designs on India, about ISI's evil designs on India on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.
Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you. Present.
ट्रैफिक या ट्रैफिक जाम या हैवी ट्रैफिक की स्थिति देखने को नहीं मिलेगी। ये हिदायत पहले ही ट्रैफिक पुलिस को दे दी गई थी और इसके अलावा जो 3rd बटालियन की टीम है और स्वाट के कमांडो हैं वो भी कई लेयर की सुरक्षा घेरा बनाकर जो है चलेंगे, क्योंकि सुरक्षा जो है तहव्वुर राणा की सबसे क्योंकि आने वाले वक्त में कई ऐसे टेरर मॉड्यूल हैं जिनके खुलासे या फिर उन्हें तोड़ने में तहव्वुर राणा का जो है वो काम में आएगा।
और इसके बाद हर बात की जांच की जाएगी और जो इसमें शामिल होंगे, जो दोषी होंगे, उनको कानून के दायरे में लाकर सजा।
They don't want the truth about Pakistan's involvement in 2611 to come out in public domain. And Nalini, that is why I'm told that this access is blocked for everybody else. The NIA vehicles will just come here. This entire area has been sanitized. Only the police personnel and court officers will be there, so that it's in total, isolation. This man is produced before the law. This is a case the world will be watching, Nalini.
Well, Gaurav, for the understanding of our viewers, usually all cases that the NIA is investigating and all cases ongoing before the special NIA court are all in-camera proceedings, especially because they have something to do with national security or some sensitive issues, which is why they're all in-camera proceedings. What that means is that no media or anybody who's not directly related with the case is allowed to be in the court during the proceedings, and only selective, limited details regarding the proceedings in the case are released into the public domain, sometimes only the final order, without giving any insights into what kind of arguments were made before the court. The reason, like I told you, is because it's a sensitive matter that the NIA court usually deals with, because it relates to NIA investigations. In the
Stay
case
with
of
me for a moment. We're getting the first statement of the National Investigation Agency. The NIA has confirmed they have secured successful extradition of 2611 Mumbai terror attacks mastermind Tahawwur Rana from the United States of America. It's an official statement that has just come in, and it's such a huge day today for India in this war on Pakistan state-sponsored terror. The NIA in a statement has said the National Investigation Agency on Thursday successfully secured the extradition of Tahawwur Rana, the mastermind of the deadly 2611 Mumbai terror attacks, after years of sustained and concerted effort to bring the key conspirator, this word is very important, key conspirator behind the 2008 mayhem, to bring him to justice. Now, Tahawwur Rana was being held in judicial custody in the United States of America, pursuant to proceedings initiated under the India-US extradition treaty for his extradition. This extradition finally came through after Rana exhausted all legal avenues to stay this move of not being sent to India. The district court for the Central District of California had ordered his extradition on the 16th of May. 16th of May 2023. Tahawwur Rana, it was ordered that he'll be extradited to India. Rana then filed multiple litigations in the 9th Circuit Court of Appeals, all of which were rejected. He subsequently filed a writ, now including 2 habeas corpus petitions and an emergency application before the US Supreme Court, which were also denied. The extradition proceedings were initiated between 2 countries after India eventually secured a surrender warrant for the wanted terrorists from the US government with the active assistance, and this is a very important terminology being used by the NIA, with the active assistance of the US Department of Justice, the US Sky Marshal. The NIA worked closely with other Indian intelligence agencies and the NSG, that's the National Security Guard Commandos, through this entire extradition process, which also saw India's Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Home Affairs coordinating with other relevant authorities. Investigation agency's legal team has also reached the NIA Special Court. Tahawwur Rana is to face trial in the NIA court in India. The NIA has confirmed Rana's extradition is successful. NIA has said a team of the Ministry of External Affairs, the Ministry of Home Affairs and the National Security Guard coordinated his extradition. And I'll get you all details on this big story. Tahawwur Rana is the biggest fish caught so far when it comes to 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks to be brought to India to face trial. Remember those 10 Pakistani terrorists, 9 were killed by our brave security forces personnel. They made the supreme sacrifice of their lives and very brave them. And there, the images that you see on your television screen, that is the NIA team that is in the court. You have the NIA team. You will also have a legal team that will defend Tahawwur Rana, because Indian judicial system is completely transparent, unbiased, which you shall see. Even a Pakistani terrorist like Ajmal Amir Kassab was given a fair trial and a hearing. So will the Pakistani terrorist Tahawwur Rana. Over the course of the next 1 hour, I get you all details. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Let's get started with the headlines at 7. Key 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks plotter hauled back to India. Tahawwur Rana's aircraft lands at Palam Technical Area in Delhi. Rana will undergo trial at a special NIA court in Delhi. Mega scoop on NIA's Rana terror probe. Lens also on Hindu terror bogey by Lashkar-e-Taiba's death squad and ISI. 10 Pakistani attackers wore Kalava, the sacred thread which David Coleman Headley took from Siddhivinayak temple, and had fake identity cards with Hindu names. Why this bogey of Hindu terror from Pakistan? We probe. In Maharashtra, politics over terror escalates. Sharad Pawar's NCP seeks fair trial for Rana. Congress ally says probe must be fair within Indian law. Union Minister Piyush Goyal says Modi government will punish the terrorists, will not feed them biryani. Survivors who escaped Lashkar-e-Taiba's death squad in Mumbai recount tales of absolute horror. Those who live to tell the tale seek death sentence for Tahawwur Rana. In other news, Donald Trump bowls another tariff googly. 90-day pause on reciprocal tariff for 75 countries, but no relief for China. Tariff on China hiked by 125%.
हर बात की जांच की जाएगी और जो इसमें शामिल होंगे, जो दोषी होंगे, उनको कानून के दायरे में लाकर सजा दी जाएगी।
Side is suspended. So from the US court, the battle now shifts to courts of law in India. In the United States of America, Tahawwur Rana, right from the district court all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, had tried every every trick in the trade to avoid being extradited to India. And in the end, he used the Muslim card. He said he's a Muslim, he's of Pakistani origin, he's ex-Pakistan Army captain. So if he's sent to India, it's akin to signing his death warrant. The Chief Justice in the United States said nothing to him. The evidence against him is so strong that he was extradited to India following the India-US extradition treaty, relentlessly pursued by government of India and the government of the United States of America. Now he's been brought to India. He will face trial in the special NIA court in Delhi. And this trial, the world will watch, because in public domain, it's not some secret trial. It's not in some barracks. It's not some military trial like in a Pakistani court. In India, it's a civil court. The special NIA court will try him. All evidence will be put out in public domain. All evidence will be there in court. Of course, at a suitable time, because keeping national security in mind and not to compromise sources, some bits of information may not come out in public domain, at least initially. But former Home Secretary of India, G.K. Pillai, just a short while back, he went on record to say India has enough evidence to convict him, that's for sure. Probably he will also get the death sentence. And I'll get you all those aspects in greater detail. We have the finest team of reporters who join me on this broadcast. Akshita Nandgopal is at NIA headquarters. Nalini Singh is standing by at the special NIA court. Shivani Sharma is at the NIA headquarters, and she's been tracking the movement of this aircraft very closely. I also have with me Amit Bharadwaj on this story. Srishti Ojha will join us from the NIA court in just a moment. But Nalini, coming to you first, since this battle now moves to court, is he being brought to court in person and not video conferencing? That would indicate that Government of India is very confident that in full glare, he'll be brought to court. All the charges against him will be read out in court. Is that how the process takes place right now?
Gaurav, was that question for me?
Yes, Nalini.
Yes, well, Gaurav, that's what we are given to understand. In fact, there is a high likelihood, considering the kind of security that is deployed here. And I'm going to ask Ankit to show you the amount of police that is present right now at the gate of the Patiala House Court. Remember, the Patiala House Court is currently off due to the court vacation. And considering that it's past quotas, well past quotas at this point. But despite that, there is a heavy amount of police security that has only steadily been increasing since the morning that we've been here. And looking at the number of police officials and the kind of arrangements that have been set up here, we're given to understand that there is a very high possibility that Tahawwur Rana actually might be brought here in person. Of course, nobody is ready to confirm that at this point, considering the fact that it's a sensitive matter and he's a high security prisoner. So keeping all of that in mind, his movements will be confidential at this point. But looking at the arrangements, we can make an educated guess that we can expect him to be produced here physically. Now, as to what time that is going to be is something that we still have to watch out for, because remember, there have to be procedural formalities, Gaurav, that need to be completed before he can be produced before a judge, which includes all the procedural formalities relating to the arrest, along with the fact that he also has to undergo a medical procedure before he is actually produced before the court, because his health report will have to be submitted before the court during the custody hearing. Senior Advocate Dayan Krishnan, who is going to be leading NIA's prosecution when it comes to this 2611 larger conspiracy case between David Headley and Tahawwur Rana, is already present in court along with his team of lawyers. So the entire prosecution team of the NIA has already reached court well ahead of time before Tahawwur Rana comes. And we are given to understand that they will be making a request for his custody. Now, how long they'll be asking for the custody for, and in addition to that, how many days the court is going to agree to give the custody for, is something we'll know only once the proceedings are over. Gaurav, like we were telling our viewers earlier, we can expect a little bit of protracted hearing before the court, because once he is produced, the judge will conduct all the proceedings, all the arguments will happen, where the NIA prosecutors are going to be given a chance to give reasons as to why they want his custody and what they plan to do during the days when he is in their custody. So all of those details will have to be explained to the judge, because it's only on the basis of that the judge will decide whether or not, in fact, the custody should be granted. And after that, the judge is going to take some time to pronounce the order. The order will have to be pronounced today, Gaurav, and that is mainly because if NIA needs to keep him in custody for longer than 24 hours, they need to have a court order in their favor. So
absolutely, because the world is watching this case. The world is watching this case, and we want full transparency. We want the world to know, like India gave a free and fair trial to Ajmal Amir Kasab. Of course, many were upset with reports that he was fed biryani and kept in that AC Anda cell at the Arthur Road jail. Be that as it may, let there be a fair trial so that Pakistan continues to get exposed. Let every bit of information about Pakistan's involvement in this radical Islamist terror that is spreading in our country come out in public domain. And before I come to Akshita, I want to read out some of the charges against Tahawwur Rana, this Pakistani-Canadian terrorist. So he plotted 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks from 2005 onwards, incidentally. And there's some details I'm adding. He provided the blueprint. So this man, Tahawwur Rana, with David Coleman Headley, had the blueprint that helped Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hafiz Mohammed Saeed, who said, carry out reconnaissance in multiple Indian cities, because it's not just one terror attack. They wanted to continue to bleed India. And on India Today, we'll also play out, one response of Hafiz Saeed, which was captured at Muridke, where he said, Ek Mumbai kya hota hai? Ek Mumbai kya hota hai? They wanted to continue to bleed India. Had Balakot not happened, had India not bombed Pakistan, perhaps many more 26/11s would have happened, like they did after 26/11, when India was targeted, whether it's Zaveri Bazar attack, German Pune bakery attack, Pathankot, Pulwama, Udhampur, Samba, Kathua, so many terror attacks took place. But anyway, I want to now come to the next point. Aided the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks. He directly funded it, provided logistics, provided cover. He was a part of that criminal conspiracy. And there's a charge of waging war against the Indian state against Tahawwur Rana. Murder. 166 innocent people from over a dozen countries, including United States of America, Israel, many European countries and India were killed in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. He facilitated the travel of one of the key plotters, which is David Coleman Headley, and those details will also come out in public domain. There's so much evidence, and a lot of this evidence was in that Chicago federal court. We'll get you that evidence too. He helped conspirators based in Pakistan, and it's not just Hafiz Mohammed Saeed and Major Iqbal. There are many more. I quickly want to cut across to Amit Bharadwaj, who joins us live from the airport. Amit, take it away. Tell us what's happening at the airport. Amit.
Gaurav, we are getting you these visuals from the Palam facility. The traffic has been stopped. The regular traffic has been stopped by the security forces. The gate is open and the Delhi Police's first vehicle is out of the Palam facility. Right there, you can see the carcades coming out. There could be a possibility of some other carcade. This is not the one we have been waiting for. This is an secure armed forces carcade which has just left, but be assured that the security has been beefed up at the Palam facility, and what we are given to understand that the final round of paperwork is being done.
General Anil Chauhan, that is CDS Anil Chauhan, who's just crossed, you saw 4 stars on that vehicle. It is the Chief of Defence Staff. Okay, so the traffic had been stopped because the CDS is also returning to Mumbai. Earlier today in the afternoon, it was Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh who was returning from the Defence Services Staff College, where he delivered a very, very important lecture for future commanders of the Indian Armed Forces. That was Rajnath Singh, Raksha Mantri, in the afternoon. And right now, it is Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, who is just crossed that Palam technical area. General Anil Chauhan is also a 4-star general, but the difference in the color that you noticed, it was a darker shade of maroon in that vehicle, in the badges, in the plate that you saw, which had 4 stars, and that 4-star plate is of a 4-star general, which is only either the Armed Forces Chiefs or the Chief of Defence Staff, first amongst equals. But let me get back to the charges against Tahawwur Rana. Forgery, it's a very important charge. Cheating, that's a charge against him, and we will get you all these details. Helped conspirators in Pakistan, facilitated 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. And Akshita, all of this shows this was a plan that was in the works since 2005. It was a very, very long plan. 2005 onwards, these people were plotting to burn India, and not just one city, Mumbai, but Kochi, Pushkar in Rajasthan, Haridwar, Hapur, Agra. This man had travelled across the length and breadth of our country, Akshita.
Very, very true, Gaurav. You know, this was a plan to go ahead and perpetrate terror attacks across the country. I'll just get you a quick update from here, from the NIA headquarters, where security has been completely also beefed up. You're seeing increased barricading. So, I mean, this is based and completely just conjecture right now, because there's no official statement from the agencies. But looking at what we're seeing right now and what our reporters have been telling us, Gaurav, it looks like directly from the Palam airport, we're going to see Tahawwur Rana being taken to the Patiala House Court, the special NIA court there, for a hearing, and then in all likelihood he will be brought here to the NIA headquarters. So it doesn't look like he'll be taken to Tihar. Most likely here is where he'll be spending his first night here in the country. As far as Tahawwur Rana's terror links are concerned, Gaurav, he and David Headley reportedly were childhood friends. Then they got together in America, in Chicago, which is where he was based. He had a number of immigration companies and a slaughterhouse that he had set up. So he was a businessman in Chicago with links, of course, to the Pakistan Army, which you've been talking about, that he served as a doctor in the Pakistan Army. Now, at the behest of the ISI, David Headley conducted all of these recce's. We know Tahawwur Rana also repeatedly travelled to India, including to Mumbai, where he stayed at the Taj Hotel with his wife. But David Headley, how was he allowed into India? He got his visa courtesy Tahawwur Rana. He managed to find places, accommodation to stay courtesy Tahawwur Rana. So all of this was done by Rana. Even his alibi, Headley's alibi, was given by Tahawwur Rana. Essentially, he was told by Tahawwur Rana, pretend you're setting up an immigration office, part of my organization in Mumbai. So it's with that excuse that David Headley managed to get visa and then get another one, and keep getting extensions as well to conduct all the extensive recce's that were conducted, based on which Tahawwur Hussain Rana and David Headley went ahead and provided all information to the ISI, to the Lashkar-e-Taiba, and then this entire terror plot was hatched. Mind you, Gaurav, what was Tahawwur Rana serving a 14-year sentence for in America? It was because they were plotting another terror attack in 2005 in Copenhagen, in which the plan was to target a Danish newspaper that had put out a cartoon on Prophet Muhammad, to behead employees and to put out the severed heads out on the streets of Copenhagen. Just think of really what kind of terror attacks and what monsters these men were. And that's why it's so important really that Tahawwur Rana be brought to book. It's not just for Indians, but for so many people world across, because Rana was involved in terror attacks, masterminding terror attacks across the world, globally.
And this is something that the world must know, that these were Lashkar-e-Taiba sleeper cells in Canada and in the United States of America, plotting terror attacks even in Europe, carrying them out even in India. So for them, everybody who's not practicing their religion is fair game. And perhaps these are some of the aspects, Srishti, that will come out in court. And I believe security is being strengthened very extensively where you are, Srishti. So all indications, he will be produced in court, and not via video conferencing, but in person. That too sends out a very different message. The judge can see him before action, the next course of action is taken, Srishti.
Well, Gaurav, the entire day we've had to deal with the speculation of whether he'll be produced before Patiala House Court or he'll be produced virtually. The security, the major intense security deployment that we have seen both inside and outside Patiala House Court is clearly indicative that there's a possibility that in most likelihood he will be produced physically before Patiala House Court. All the media persons were also, including everybody present inside the court premises, were asked to walk out, leave the court. We're standing right outside gate 1 of Patiala House Court. Straight from here to the left is the courtroom where is court of the special NIA judge, which will hear the case against Tahawwur Rana. We've also seen the entire legal team that will be representing the prosecution, the National Investigating Agency, enter court a while back. We spoke to them, India Today spoke to them on camera. We tried to get a reaction out of senior advocate Dayan Krishnan over the successful extradition of Tahawwur Rana. Even though there was no response, they have gone gone straight to the courtroom for the hearing. Yes, there is still a possibility that in case NIA wants, they could still make him appear virtually while the NIA's legal team is present before court. However, seeing the police deployment, it does not seem very likely. But as we know, it's a very sensitive, high-profile matter. Things can change at any moment. Once the court hears the matter, as the legal procedure goes, post his arrest and his medical examination, he has to be produced before the concerned court in 24 hours. NIA will have to tell on what grounds it is seeking Tahawwur Rana's police custody. What are the arguments that NIA will put forth is something that will be very crucial. Gaurav.
I want to bring into this conversation Professor Brahma Chilani and Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, two top analysts of our country, amongst the finest and those who understand the Pakistani psyche. Because when India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, who calls a spade, says bigotry is in the DNA of Pakistan, it's the Pakistan state and elements like Tahawwur Rana and Ajmal Amir Kassab, they're all 50 shades of that same Hafiz Saeed. Is that a correct appreciation? Professor Chilani, this is more than just an academic exercise, isn't it? Tahawwur Rana being brought to India and being tried here. What are we likely to find out from him after 17 years in your understanding, sir?
You ask a very relevant question. It's been 16.5 years since the Mumbai terror attacks, and finally the US has extradited one of the two key plotters who was resident in the US. And we have to ask ourselves if the US will ever extradite the more important guy, David Coleman Headley, who was actually more instrumental in orchestrating the Mumbai terror attacks than even Rana. But Rana is very important because of his close links to the ISI. Rana served in the Pakistan Army as a medical officer, and his association with the Pakistani intelligence and his links with Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is an ISI front, all that was significant, and he played an important role in scripting, in helping the Mumbai terror attacks. The bigger question is this, that the key masterminds of the Mumbai terror attacks continue to roam freely in Pakistan even today. And it's very unfortunate that India has been unable to impose real costs on Pakistan for having scripted the Mumbai terror attacks. In fact, Pakistan's strategy was to pass the 10 Mumbai attackers off as local Hindus. It actually even arranged the sacred Hindu thread for these attackers. The whole idea was that they would die in the attack and that they will be seen as locals. This entire strategy unraveled because of one cop, Tukaram Omble.
Oh, absolutely.
Tukaram Omble, an ex-army officer, provided the clinching evidence of Pakistan's involvement by sacrificing his life to get Ajmal Kassab captured alive. Think of a scenario in which all 10 of the Pakistani attackers had died. Not a single had survived. That would have fanned the allegations of some in India that this attack was a local attack, a locally organized attack. So we are fortunate.
Horrifying.
Yeah, we are fortunate that one guy, played such a pivotal role. He'll be remembered as a hero among heroes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the entire nation salutes Tukaram Omble for his supreme sacrifice. When we were covering the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, Professor Chilani and Ambassador Dogra and now Mona Alam also joins me from Pakistan. When we were covering 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks on ground, The next day, we visited that place where Tukaram Omble made the supreme sacrifice of his life, and I spoke to some of the Mumbai police personnel. They said he took a hail of AK-47 bullets to his chest because Ajmal Amir Kasab, he fired that AK-47 straight into his heart, but he just caught hold of him and grappled with him. He grappled with him and that AK-47 jammed, so he couldn't change the magazine. And that's the time Tukaram Omble, he made the supreme sacrifice but caught Kasab. Kasab couldn't escape from that grip. And that is how we have a Pakistani terrorist, that first Pakistani link. And very soon, that next Pakistani link emerged in the form of David Coleman Headley or Dawood Gilani. And the third was Tahawwur Rana. Get away by saying that he's no longer a Pakistani citizen. He was born Pakistani. He served in Pakistan Army. He was in touch with Major Iqbal. He was in touch with Hafiz Saeed. There is electronic evidence, there is signal intelligence, there is human intelligence in the form of Abu Jundal, there is David Coleman Headley's testimony in the Chicago federal courtroom recorded by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Can Pakistan with one line say that he's not ours anymore and think that nobody will question Pakistan on support to radical Islamist terror, Mona?
Thank you, Gaurav. I think, firstly, this was a very tragic day, not just for India, but for the entire globe, I must say. For wherever humanity prevails, it is, and it was, and it still remains to be a very tragic day, 26/11. My deepest solidarities with the martyrs and the families, civilian families, innocents who had lost lives. But, talking about all these individuals, this is just like, calling or alleging that Dawood Ibrahim is an Indian. He's been a Mumbaikar all his life. He's born and brought up on the streets, or rather, should I say, slums of Mumbai, and wherever that he's coming from, it's all his Indian genes that's making him do all this. So it's very similar. The argument is very similar in case of Tahawwur Rana. He was in Pakistan, of course. There's no denying that he was born in Pakistan, I believe, Chichawatni. But later, whatever that he did with his life, whatever path that he chose to go to, I do not understand. Fine, you quoted, I think, some electronic evidence which establishes that he was in touch with some individuals from Pakistan. I don't know if Hafiz Saeed was among them as well or not. But Hafiz Saeed as well, as we say, and I think we've spoken about it many a times on your programs, that he's under house arrest. He remains to be the proscribed individual here in Pakistan. We know nothing about his whereabouts. There are certain rumors that kind of surface about him from time to time. But even when we try to get hold or try to verify those rumors, try to find out or dig in further about those new rumors, even through our own journalistic sources, I must admit that, and I must confess that I come to know of nothing at all. There's absolutely darkness as to where Hafiz Saeed is. And if this individual was in contact with Hafiz Saeed, that I think can be established in a court of law if there is concrete electronic or technical evidence supporting that. But of course, whatever that he did, I don't think it was an individual act. It was a rather sorry, shameful individual act. I mean, I am very vocal. I have no embarrassment in admitting that whatever terrorist attack, attacking civilians, innocent lives, wherever that it may take place, it's just as pathetic. It's just as miserable as it is if it takes place in Pakistan.
Please don't get arrested tonight. Please don't get arrested tonight for saying all this.
Palestine, Kashmir,
you may just get arrested
India,
tonight, Mona.
Why
Please,
not?
I hope ISI does not arrest you tonight or raid your house tonight like it has in cases of other journalists in Pakistan. They've blocked accounts of several other journalists in Pakistan, I'm told. But I want to bring in Ambassador Rajiv Dogra into this conversation because Ambassador Dogra, you have a very, you have a smile on your face because, you're not convinced that Pakistan will take action against terrorists. When Mona talks about Dawood Ibrahim, hand him over, hand him back to India. I think that case will be sorted out. Why do you want scum on your land? We don't even want Hafiz Saeed on your land. Hand him to India. We'll take care of your scum. Ambassador Dogra.
Well, only he was in Pakistan.
I don't want to take issue with Mona Alam, but I'll make a suggestion that in case she is very interested in knowing the whereabouts of Dawood Ibrahim and Hafiz Saeed, all she has to do is ask the nearest ISI officer. He will know for sure. But that apart, I think there is a sigh of relief all over in India and all over in the civilized world that finally this mass murderer is here. He is due to land or has already landed to
Just
face
landed, sir.
justice, just to face justice in India. And there is no doubt at all that he was deeply involved in whatever happened on 26/11, because the American justice system, right up to its Supreme Court, has given a uniform and unanimous verdict that yes, this man deserves to face justice in India where his crime was committed. The second thing is, if at all we are able to get information out of him, and I hope it is done very quickly, we will finally be able to know if beyond Headley and beyond Rana, there were others involved in USA who planned and who collaborated in the 26/11 attack.
What an interesting aspect. Other sleeper cells of Lashkar-e-Taiba in US and Canada, I'm sure they also want to know, and we will tell the world about these sleeper cells. In UK we know, but go on, sir.
More than that, I'm also very anxious to know if during his travels to Visakhapatnam, Cochin, or wherever else, Delhi, how could anyone, any stranger, come to a city and zoom in on NDC, zoom in on our Naval Command headquarters? Obviously, there had to be some local help, because otherwise, it's beyond belief that I go to Karachi or I go to Lahore and straight away go to the ISI headquarters and map it all, put in the GPS coordinates and send it to some agency in India. So the entire story needs to be told, not just to the Indian people, but also in wider international context to know the dimensions of the crime they had committed. And more importantly, to know who were involved in India in this crime, because that is very important.
On the Indian aspect, on the Indian aspect, Professor Brahmachalani, you and I will have a separate conversation, and that's a longer conversation. But as long as Mona is a part of this broadcast, I would, for the moment, focus on the Pakistani link to this terror. Because Mona, since you have a smile, I want to explain to you. In India. Okay, there's more breaking news coming in. Give me a moment. Let me just take this quick breaking news that's coming in. Rana to be taken out of the airport in about 28 minutes from now at 8 o'clock. He'll be taken out of court and he will undergo trial at the special NIA court in Patiala House in the heart of the national capital. And I want the whole world to actually witness Indian justice system in all its majesty when a Pakistani-Canadian terrorist is brought to justice to face trial. We're showing you those live images from the Palam technical area of the Delhi airport. This is the high security Air Force side of the airport, and this is where Tahawwur Rana will be brought out from and taken to Patiala House Court. Now, from what sources are telling India Today, there's a detailed medical examination that is happening and is also to happen, because this man, he was trying to claim that he's very unwell, and sending him to India is like signing his death warrant. Imagine the man who signed the death warrant of so many people, 166 died, is now shaking like a leaf, and that just shows you the true face of these bullies in Pakistan. The moment you tighten the screws on them, they bleat like lambs, and that we've seen even in counter-terror operations in Jammu and Kashmir that I've had the privilege of reporting for over 3 decades now. But I want to bring in Nalini Sharma for more on the story. Nalini, I want to understand now the process that is followed. It's a medical examination first and then presented in front of a magistrate or this learned judge. After that medical report is in front of him, so that he can examine that and then question the accused or the suspect. Is that the procedure now?
Absolutely, Gaurav. That is the procedure, but how that procedure will be followed, which means that where exactly will NIA be getting the medical test done, is something that we still don't know. Maybe there are doctors already present at the airport, or maybe there'll be doctors at the NIA headquarters who will be called in. Because remember, he is a high security prisoner, so it is a security threat moving him around too much. So they're going to try and minimize the movement as much as possible to stop the exposure of Tahawwur Rana, at least until the time he is officially in NIA custody as granted by the court. So it remains to be seen how soon these procedural formalities can be completed and he can be produced before the court. What we can break to our viewers, the confirmed information that we have, is both the prosecution lawyers as well as the defense lawyers are both present inside the court. Tahawwur Rana will be represented by Advocate Piyush Sachdeva, who's just entered the court a few minutes back. Advocate Sachdeva is a lawyer that has been appointed by the Delhi State Legal Services Authority, which means that he is the lawyer that has been appointed only for this remand hearing that is going to happen today. His entire defense will not be led by Piyush Sachdeva until unless Tahawwur Rana decides so. We are also not clear whether or not Advocate Sachdeva has got a chance to meet Tahawwur Rana yet. In all likelihood, he's not spoken to him, and it will only happen once Tahawwur Rana has been produced before the court, that Advocate Sachdeva might get a few minutes to interact with his client and to figure out what kind of defense should be put forth before the court regarding his remand custody, because Tahawwur Rana from his side at least is going to try and challenge the custody to as much extent as possible.
Okay. So that due process of law will be followed in a civil court for the world to see. Mona, can we expect Pakistan, on the basis of evidence that comes out in courts of law, to proceed against accused in Pakistan? Because India has submitted multiple dossiers to Pakistan. Unfortunately, instead of action being taken, Pakistan has actually helped those people escape. That's the information that we get here. Can we expect Pakistan, and considering Pakistan wants to be friends and Pakistan is a victim of terror on its own, as you claim, will Pakistan act against terrorists?
Well, yes, of course. I think I've already mentioned it, that if anything comes up as technical, strong, concrete evidence that he was in touch with any people, any masterminds here in Pakistan, then that should be established. And if those people are still in Pakistan, and if they're still roaming scot-free, then they can be, taken under custody.
Why
they
doesn't
can be
it
arrested.
happen? Why hasn't it happened? Dawood Ibrahim is in Clifton, Karachi. Tiger Memon is in Karachi. There is so much evidence. Pakistanis have written about it. Indians have written about it. Our guest on the show, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, has met and seen them in Pakistan, and yet no action taken against Dawood Ibrahim, no action taken against Hafiz Saeed for 2611, no action taken against Masood Azhar, even though he tried to kill then President Pervez Musharraf, military dictator and Army Chief Musharraf. He tried to bomb him. Raw gave intelligence to Pakistan that he could be killed, save yourself. And yet no action taken against. I don't understand Pakistan's mindset, Mona. Can you help us understand?
Look, I think most of the individuals whom you've named, Dawood Ibrahim being seen or spotted in Karachi somewhere, I think that was many years ago, because he has a relative here in Karachi. You may be well aware of that. So I think
Javed
that was
Miadad, I'm not scared to name him. I live in India. I'm safe, hopefully.
Yeah, I think he is related to Javed Miadad. I'm not sure as to what exactly is the relation, but I think that children are married.
Dawood Ibrahim's daughter married Javed Miadad's son.
Yeah.
Mehjabeen, and that Mehjabeen is his wife. That entire image, I mean, it's known to everybody in India, but that's okay. Go on, Mona.
Yeah, so if you know that, then of course there's no rocket science. He may have been spotted in Karachi due to some family connection here, but that doesn't mean Pakistan is harboring him. He may have visited Pakistan or Karachi. So this was many years ago. All the accounts that you've quoted to me so far of Dawood Ibrahim, this is such a baseless allegation that Pakistan is harboring him.
Baseless allegation. Ambassador Dogra, is this baseless allegation? Even so, I can understand those ISI-sponsored editors of the past decades, who would try to justify terror. If they said it, you could understand they came from a certain mindset. But if this mindset percolates down, there's a cause for serious concern, which means India and Pakistan can never even hope to talk, because that's an entire country that supports terrorists. Ambassador Dogra.
Well, Mona's smile gives it all away, so don't take her seriously. But Pakistan is a past master in denying that anything has happened on its soil, which relates to terror. Osama bin Laden, they never knew the name. Who was he? So, Dawood Ibrahim, where is he? Is he in Baluchistan or somewhere else? He's certainly not in Karachi, in Clifton, almost opposite Bhutto's house. So Pakistan will deny everything that sticks or that is likely to stick to it as a conspirator in any kind of conspiracy of terror, criminal activity, drug mafia, and so on. So one has to take those denials as sort of a habitual offender.
Then is Pakistan a fit case, Ambassador, to be put back in the Financial Action Task Force grey list based on evidence that is generated? Because India must then tell the world, because Americans were killed, Jewish people were killed, Europeans were killed, Indians were killed, people from so many countries were killed in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Whatever Rana says, put it out, let the world see, let Pakistan be put back on the FATF grey list.
Well, as more and more evidence comes out, and more information comes out from Rana, maybe that will lead to Pakistan getting back to FATF, because it has not given up its ways. Pakistan is still indulging in terror, not just against India, but against many other countries as well. And now it is spreading its tentacles via Bangladesh into India. So Pakistan is up to its old game. It has never given it up.
Okay, Mona, is that a cause for concern for countries like Pakistan? We know about the financial condition of Pakistan, and I don't want to repeat that Katora, Jaib, that happens all over. No, I don't want to do that, and not today. But does that, you know, you would want a brighter future for your next generation. I'm sure Pakistanis would want a brighter future. Why is your passport one of the worst in the world? Why is your economy crumbling? Why is Pakistan still not taking action? Your generals are becoming richer. Your army chiefs' daughters have diplomatic passports, but your country people have the worst record of using that passport and trying to go abroad, Mona.
Look, I think this is absolute deviation from the subject. I would draw you back to the topic. And I think one baseless allegation of Dawood Ibrahim being harbored by Pakistan is being answered by another baseless allegation that OBL, Osama bin Laden, was harbored by Pakistan. I clearly recall there was a seminar by Hindustan
200 meters from Pakistan Military Academy, Kakul.
Let me finish. I clearly recall Osama bin Laden. I was trying to say something regarding him. There was a seminar by Hindustan Times by former President Barack Obama, whereby he had actually said that when he was questioned, upon being questioned by, you know, similar rhetoric-driven journalists in India, that, you know, why was Pakistan harboring OBL all this time? Why didn't you take stern action against Pakistan? So, you know, Barack Obama, I'm so happy that he rebutted that journalist right on his or her face. And he said that, you know, Pakistan never knew that Osama bin Laden was in Pakistan until we provided them that
you should have sacked DGISI just that day itself. Rhetoric-driven or not, that day DGISI should have been not just sacked but sent to jail for not knowing so many UN-designated international terrorists are living inside Pakistan. Ambassador Dogra, I mean, that is a fit case for Pakistan.
Your DG Raw should also be sent to jail for not having any intelligence about 26/11 attack, whereby former police chief S.M. Mushrif has authored a book that this was also an insider operation. And you know, because you've been a...
Well, pre-partition, it would have been an insider operation. I completely agree. Pre-1947, when that terrorist part of India was also India. Pre-1947, maybe Mushrif lives in, you know, in a time warp. But, you know, seriously, Mona...
no terrorist act can take place without the support of local handlers. Please, I expect India to go after and chase those local handlers as well. This is what your former police chief has also been saying.
Absolutely. So, those local handlers must be caught. I completely agree with you.
They must be caught.
You know, when the truth has to be spoken, in India we speak the truth. Those local handlers जो खाते भारत की हैं, गाते पाकिस्तान की हैं, उनको पकड़ना चाहिए. I completely agree with you, Mona. Unfortunately, that was not done in this country. I hope it happens now. And I want to quickly bring the details of Tahawwur Rana's interrogation, because now I know this is one reason where Pakistan Pakistan
former
state-sponsored
police
radical
chief
Islamist
SM
terror.
also.
And you know why I want the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar's statement to be played out again and again and again? Because Dr. S. Jaishankar very systematically pointed out bigotry is in Pakistan's DNA. There is no difference between an illiterate Ajmal Amir Kasab from Faridkot and a highly educated medical doctor, Tahawwur Rana, or a DG ISI called General Ashfaq Parvez Kayani, who then went off to become their army chief, because it's an entire chain that carried out those terror attacks, or that so-called Ghazwa-e-Hind against India. I completely agree that Indians need to wake up to this and realize that there is this 1,000-year Ghazwa-e-Hind that Pakistanis are waging against us, and we don't realize that, Ambassador Dogra. We need to wake up, and wake up now.
Exactly. So that is why Rana's coming here or being brought here is a godsend in a way, because we had forgotten all about it, just as we've forgotten all about 93 attacks in Bombay. So I think this is a reminder that terror is not far away. Terror is just one bomb blast away. And secondly, the entire story as to how it was planned, how it was executed, can be sourced from Rana, because he was one of the main instigators and planners of 26/11. We don't realize the full dimension of his activities or his involvement. So I think coming days will bring us more information. And the country needs to be reminded frequently as to what it was facing as a disaster, not just in terms of 26/11, but all over India, because their plan was pan-India. Their plan covered Cochin Naval Command. The plan covered NDC, which had the cream of Indian Army and even foreign officers, defense officers who are present there at any given moment. So it was quite an insidious plan. Fortunately, as you said, Kasab was caught, and then the entire story went the other way. Now, this is the beginning of a new chapter. This is the beginning of the main chapter in 26/11 episode, where Rana hopefully will sing and he will spill the beans of the entire episode.
You're absolutely right. And Mona, you must continue to join us, because we will continue to bring out all these details. You know, there was this generation that really wanted good relations with Pakistan. Despite the 1993 Mumbai blast, where 257 innocent Indians were massacred by Pakistani terrorists, ISI. And all of that was also documented very effectively. How these people, Dawood Ibrahim would send them to the Middle East. Then they would travel to Pakistan, so that entry stamp into Middle East will be there, but no exit stamp, and an exit stamp from Middle East would be there, but no entry stamp into Pakistan, no exit stamp from Pakistan. That is how Pakistan's state complicity comes out in public domain, and not one, but multiple instances. And it's not just Dawood Ibrahim in 1993, Hafiz Mohammed Saeed, then the Kargil War of 1999. And Mona, I have covered this on ground. I've covered Kargil War on ground, so I know what Pakistani treachery is after that Lahore bus journey. I've covered the Parliament attack, I've covered the Red Fort attack, I've covered the Jammu Kashmir Assembly attack, I've covered the Akshardham Temple terror attack, and I've covered terror attacks across the length and breadth of our country, sponsored by your country, by your army, by your ISI. So trust me, this India will not be taken in by Pakistani sweet words. We want sweet action on terrorists. If that takes place, great. If that doesn't take place, Mona, Pakistan perhaps will continue to bleed. I have more breaking news that's coming in on this special broadcast on India Today. So Rana is now being arrested officially in India. The 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks key plotter is undergoing medical tests. Remember, India Today told you first, it's coming out officially now, but we told you earlier the process that was going on. So he's being examined medically after that long flight from the United States of America. So from Miami, they flew to Bucharest. There was an 11-hour halt at Bucharest. Then they took the next leg of their journey. They've landed in Delhi. There's a medical examination that is going on. Once that medical examination is complete, then that cavalcade will leave the Palam technical area and he will be brought to the NIA Special Court in the heart of Delhi. Srishti joining us with the latest on this. So Srishti, that process of law, standard operating procedure, medical test done first. Of course, his heart rate must be up. He knows his game is up for sure. Tell us more what's happening.
Well, Gaurav, we're right outside Patiala House Court right now. There's intense, very huge police deployment at various gates of Patiala House Court, which still keeps the speculation as to from which speculation intact as to which gate will the NIA and the officials be bringing Tahawwur Rana to Patiala House Court from. As far as the legal procedure goes, he has been officially put under arrest. Post that, after a medical examination is conducted, he has to be produced before court, before the special NIA judge in this particular case, within 24 hours. Once he's produced before the court, he's also, as we have now learned, has been assigned a lawyer to represent him in this particular hearing as far as his custody hearing is concerned, because the NIA in all likelihood will seek his police custody to question him. They are finally, after years, so many years post the Mumbai terror attacks, they're finally getting to question him. NIA will have to put forth their case before the court, explain on what grounds exactly are they seeking Tahawwur Rana's police custody. Post that, of course, Tahawwur Rana's lawyer will also get a chance to put forth his arguments, oppose police custody in all likelihood in this case. The Delhi
Stay with me, Srishti. I need to slip into a quick break here. We'll be back with the headlines and our top stories, and very fast-paced developments are taking place on this story. So just moments from now, he'll be out of that Palam technical area. We are told the medical examination is almost complete. So stand by. I'll get you more on the other side of a quick break. Mona, stay with us. Ambassador Dogra, stay with us as we come back to this continuing coverage on India today. India finally gets custody of that key 20 coming in. Rana to be taken out of the airport in about 28 minutes from now at 8 o'clock. He'll be taken out of court and he will undergo trial at the special NIA court in Patiala House, in the heart of the national capital. And I want the whole world to actually witness Indian justice.
अरे तनवीर तेरा एक खाता रखा है ड्राइवर को बुला ले गाड़ी में रखा दे पता नहीं मिलेगा बहुत बड़ा दिन है
ಕೆಲವೇ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು NIA ಟೀಮ್ ಈಗ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬರುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೂಡ ಲಭ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಹಿಂಭಾಗದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ತಾವು ನೋಡಬಹುದು, ಏನು ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಅದರ ಮುಂಭಾಗದಲ್ಲೇ ನಾನು ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಇದೇ ಮಾರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಕೆಲವೇ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ NIA ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಈ ಒಂದು ಏನು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಯನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸಿ ಆತನನ್ನ ರಾಣನನ್ನ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬರುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆ ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಈ ತದನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಆತನನ್ನ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಹಾಜರುಪಡಿಸ್ತಾರ ಅಥವಾ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ರೂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೂಡ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ರೂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಪ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಈತನನ್ನ ಏನು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ದಾಖಲಿಸಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ 24 ಗಂಟೆಯ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಈತನನ್ನ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ದಾಖಲು ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ದಾಖಲು ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ನಡೆಯಲಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಈತನನ್ನ ಬಂಧಿಸಿರುವಂತಹ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೂಡ ಲಭ್ಯ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಏನು ಪಾಲಂ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಈತನನ್ನ ಬಂಧನಕ್ಕೀಡು ಮಾಡಿ ಬಂಧನದ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಕೆಲವೇ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಆತನನ್ನು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಟೈಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿಯನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಪಾಲಂ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಇದರ ಬಳಿ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣ ಟೈಟ್ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಈ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಪಾಲಂ ಏರ್ಪೋರ್ಟಿಂದ ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಏನು ಪಟಿಯಾಲ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೂಡ ಅಂದರೆ ಕರೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಏನು ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಕೆಲವೇ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳ್ಳುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳಿದೆ. ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಂಡ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಿದೆ. ಬಂಧನ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಆದ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಮಾಹಿತಿಗಳನ್ನು ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಕಲೆ ಹಾಕಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಹಾಜರಾಗಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಚೆಕಪ್ ಕೂಡ ನಡೆಯುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಆಂಬ್ಯುಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ NIA ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ತಯಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಚೆಕಪ್ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕಾದು ನೋಡಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ NIA ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂಥ ತಯಾರಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಇಂದಿಗೂ ಕುತೂಹಲ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ NIA ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾದಂತಹ ಏನು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾದಂಥ ಅಧಿಕಾರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಅಧಿಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು ನಡೆಯುತ್ತೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅವರು ಅಧಿಕೃತವಾಗಿ ತಿಳಿಸಿದ ನಂತರದಲ್ಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ವಿಚಾರವಾಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತಾ ಅಥವಾ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಅಂದರೆ NIA ಕಚೇರಿ ಅಥವಾ ಪಾಟಿಯಾಲ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗುವ ಮಾರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಾ ಎನ್ನುವಂತಹ ಅನುಮಾನ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು ನಡೆಯೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಯಾವ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳು ನಡೆಯುತ್ತವೆ ಎನ್ನುವುದರ ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಏನು ಅಮೆರಿಕದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂಥ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ಗಳು ಬೇಕು ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ಗಳನ್ನು NIA ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ NIA ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಯನ್ನು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ತದನಂತರದಲ್ಲೇ ಕೂಡ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೊರಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಂಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಕೆಲವೇ ಕ್ಷಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸಿ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬರುವಂತಹ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಸ್ಮಿತಾ,
body check.
क्या सीन है भाई? क्या सीन? 8 बजे का टाइम अभी अपना यहाँ से तो कॉम्पिटिशन लेकर दूसरे के फिर में जा रहे हैं अरे यार नहीं बजा हो गया ना सर तुम्हारे बहुत है हल्का नहीं ठीक है तुम्हें लगता है दूसरा यूज करता है लड़के हो उसमें यार अपना हेलमेट दियो 8 नहीं बजा बढ़िया करंट आ गया ट्रैफिक वाला भाई आए रूट 8 नहीं बजे ट्रैफिक पुलिस जीता ना पुलिस जीता रूट लगा 100 नंबर भी यहाँ से गायब हो गए वो क्या हुआ वो खाली करवा दिया खाली करा दिया ट्रैफिक आ गई पर उसके लिए राणा के लिए हमारे चलाएंगे यहाँ पे लैंड किया था जो अरेस्टिंग है वो डाली गई थी उसके बाद मेडिकल चेकअप हुआ था जिसमें थोड़ा आधे घंटे का प्रोसेस बताया जा रहा है कि मेडिकल चेकअप में आधे घंटे का प्रोसेस लगा था और उसके बाद जो टाइम दिया गया था जो हमारे सूत्र बता रहे हैं तो ट्रैफिक रूट बनाना है आगे 8 बजे डॉट टाइम दिया गया था 8 बजे काफिला जो है वो पालम एयरगेट से निकल जाएगा। अब इसी इंतजार में इस वक्त यहाँ पे जो एक पूरा काफिला है वो यहाँ पे निकले बड़ा काफिला है 3rd बटालियन की पूरा एक कॉन्वे उनके साथ चलेगा। उसमें करीब 15 जवान हैं जो अत्याधुनिक हथियारों के साथ हैं। इसके अलावा स्पेशल सेल के स्वात कमांडोज हैं जो बख्तेबंद गाड़ी के अंदर मौजूद रहेंगी, जिस गाड़ी में तहव्वुर राना को बिठाया जाएगा। उसके अलावा दिल्ली पुलिस की जो आगे एस्कॉर्ट टीम से वो चलेंगी और बताया जा रहा है कि जिस पूरे रूट पे करीब 14 किलोमीटर का रूट है यहाँ से पटियाला हाउस कोर्ट का, वहाँ तक सभी सिग्नल्स को
और भी बोलने लगा, बताओ यार। जाओ यहाँ से। पटियाला कोर्ट में सीमांत पे है। क्या आवाज नहीं आ रही। किसकी गाड़ी बोलती है? हवा में बारिश मिलेगा इसको बारिश होने के लिए अलग किया होगा ना।
वो कहेगा मालूम क्या हीट करता है ना दौड़ करता है यहाँ ये बोलते हैं कि आज आप बीमार थे कोई नहीं सैटरडे संडे काम कर और अलग से पेड ऑफ अभी हमारे यहाँ भी कम में समझो अब हमारे यहाँ भी 6 बजे लगा हाँ पक्का लगेगा मैं तो कह रही है सर गद्दा लगा दो वही रहे बाहर की ट्रेनिंग है आज हाँ माइग्रेट की हाँ रेडी होगा कोई आ रहा चला रहे हो ना ये बोल रहा हूँ 12 चलता है तो कोई ना कोई आता है वहाँ पर
अलग अलग प्रकार का म्यूजिक हो गया। अरे थैंक यू। कंफर्म कुछ नहीं है। जब कोर्ट पहुंच जाएगा ना वहाँ काली में क्या होगा गेट से अंदर जाएगा मोबाइल पे बन जाएगा कोर्ट कोर्ट ये जहाँ पे कंफर्म होता है कोर्ट नहीं लेंगे कंफर्म भी नहीं कंफर्म भी नहीं करते भाई। लाइव 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 आ गया आ गया आ गया। एक सेकंड भाई एक सेकंड। हेलो खाली कैमरा ऑन करता हूँ भाई आ रही आवाज। एक सेकंड दे दो बस। एक पॉइंट है ध्यान रखना लास्ट से। हेलो 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 check audio check अरे यार ये आ रही है आवाज। वोट के यहाँ के जी 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 मुस्कान अपना सवाल कीजिए। बिल्कुल देखो आवाज़ मिल रही है। फोटो तो पक्का करना है।
or very competent agencies like NIA and others, and even Mumbai police. So I will not be surprised that some new names also come up.
His local contacts in India, the fact that he visited Cochin, as you very rightly pointed out,
a particular ideology or for a particular party was far more than whatever love they had for their country, if at all they had any love. So it is very clear where these guys were coming from. And Gaurav, what is even worse is that 26
entire burst of the magazine on his chest, literally and metaphorically biting the bullet. But for him, things would have been very, very different than what we are seeing them today. Yes, there was an insidious attempt to buy the wristbands from Siddhivinayak temple. The man who was handling him and making him
of that
in Uji, Harkatul Ansar and Lashkar-e-Taiba, and the shameless manner in which their cohorts were praised after the incident and tried to change the
Okay, give me a moment as we put out that first picture on India Today of that Pakistani terrorist Tahawwur Rana in the custody of the National Investigation Agency. In that picture you see, of course, just give us a moment as we rotated. This picture has just come in. It has just come into India Today, and we wanted you to see it first. We want our viewers to be first to see news as it happens. This Pakistani terrorist Tahawwur Rana with a Canadian passport, he used that Canadian passport to breeze in and out of India, to open a company in India, a branch of a company. He opened the office in Chicago, and I visited that office in Chicago. I've reported from that office. This is that first picture that you see of Tahawwur Rana, and in just a moment we'll see his face. Perhaps these are NIA officers who are holding him physically now as they take him for a medical examination and then subsequently to take him to court. And Sushant Sareen, there are many gaps that will be filled. The point that Dr. Vikram Singh was raising about that bogey of Hindu terror, Rana and Headley knew India well, and they knew how India could be gamed. Use Pakistani terrorists and blame it on India and blame it as Hindu terror, Sushant Sareen.
You know, Gaurav, I think we need to start asking the question, were they gamed or were they told that this is how this will play out, that there will be a certain lobby in India that will use these particular symbols and try and change the narrative? And subsequently also, as Dr. Singh very correctly puts it, even much later, there were people who were trying to spread this canard and trying to construct all kinds of conspiracy theories. And you know, it was so mindless, but they continued to insist on it. Their hatred and their dislike for a particular ideology or for a particular party was far more than whatever love they had for their country, if at all they had any love. So it is very clear where these guys were coming from. And Gaurav, what is even worse is that 26/11 wasn't the first time this happened. This has happened in the past as well, from the 1993 bomb blast in Mumbai, in which hundreds of people were killed. You go out
257, sir.
Subsequent events. Again, you know, you try and deflect the Samjhauta Express. You try and deflect a particular investigation. You try and sow doubts. You change the complete direction of an investigation and try and absolve the guys who actually did what they did, even though the UN had actually identified the mastermind of the Samjhauta Express incident. There were people in India, including in the government. Now, when a government of the day, for settling political scores, starts derailing investigations and taking them to another side simply because of political reasons, then I think serious questions need to be asked: who they were batting for, what they were trying to play at. And I think this is something, it's deeply unfortunate that this kind of a thing would happen, because terrorism is terrorism, right? Everybody keeps saying, if it is terrorism, then how come you try and create that in 1993, there was an additional bomb blast which took place in a Muslim area to try and show that this was a secular act of terrorism. That we have journalists who insist that Dawood Ibrahim is a very secular guy. Tiger Memon was a very secular guy until he turned a fanatic. Right? We have people making those cases. So, if you have a country like this, you have a fifth column in a country like this, it becomes so much easier for terrorists to carry out their dastardly plans. And then, of course, you make a show and dance about that. Yes, we will take action. But what action did you take that when you were advised that this is Pakistan? The initial reaction from the government of India at that point of time was, we suspect non-state actors. Why did you suspect non-state actors? Could a non-state actor carry out as monumental an attack as this without the complicity and the connivance of the state in Pakistan? It is inconceivable for something like that to happen. That was one. So you tried to absolve the Pakistani state. You did that. Then what did you do? That you were told that let's go and attack Pakistan and teach them a lesson. What did you do? You asked a visiting delegation of Americans for permission. Can I do this? Do you ask another country for permission to take your revenge? Do you do this? Does any government do something like this? So, we've had this kind of a namby-pamby culture in this country, which is why everybody thinks that this is a country you can just kick it and, get away with it. Look at the bloody Pakistanis today, yeah? They're so shameless, these wretches. Oh, but we have nothing to do with this guy. He's a Canadian citizen. Arey Baba, your guys were involved in the plot. Your guys were in communication with this guy. Your guys were telling him what to do and what not to do. He was hatching and arranging the logistics because of your guys telling him this, and you very simply and very blithely you say we have nothing to do with this. They're so shameless, these wretches. And you will have people in India say, but we cannot be always on the tenterhooks with the Pakistanis. We have to make up with them. So let us start with playing cricket with them. Let their actors come out here. We will go down. So, if the moment you do something like this, the other guy thinks you're a pushover. You know what the Pakistanis
and they thought
say
we are
about India?
pushovers. They thought we are pushovers, that we'll only talk about our par ki ladai till the time a Balakot happened and a surgical strike happened. Then they knew that their BAP is here and this is not going to happen. And I want to talk about that in greater detail, but I want to play out these two images on your television screen. So that is Tahawwur Rana earlier. And this is the latest image of that Pakistani-Canadian terrorist Tahawwur Rana. He studied at the Hassan Abdal Military Academy in Pakistan. He's 64 years old now. 17 years earlier, that man was not only wrecking multiple locations in our country, but he was also celebrating. Now, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the information they were able to gather, when he saw 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks images on his television screen as he watched that terror plan unfold, he celebrated and he wanted every Pakistani terrorist who was killed in India and Kasab to be awarded Pakistan's highest national military award. So for him, it was victory. For him, it was Ghazwa-e-Hind against Kafirs. And now that so-called warrior of that Ghazwa-e-Hind is in shackles as he's brought to India, and hopefully that entire military jihad complex will be brought to its knees, Tara Karta. That is the need of the hour, to punish Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror through evidence put out in public domain for the world to see, madam.
Absolutely, yes. I think a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of these details, a lot of them we already know, but this is all going to come out now. It's going to come out in headlines. It's going to be shared with partners in the US. It's going to be shared with Israel. Don't forget, Israelis also died in this attack. So this is now an international investigation, and the Pakistanis have a choice of either cooperating, which of course is wildly quite impossible, but or understanding that they're going to get cornered on this, that this is not on. But there's one thing I'd like to say in response to what you were talking about. You remember there was the Ajmer Sharif blast and the Hazrat Nizamuddin blast. There were a trail of blasts before this to show that there is this Hindu terror taking place, right? That was very worrying. But on the other hand, I also want to emphasize that within the government at the time, when I was also there at the time, there was a very, very clear understanding that this was Pakistan. The Joint Intelligence Committee in which I was there, we put that report out that, look, there's going to be an attack on a hotel, 5-star hotel in Bombay. This warning was given. And this was based on like I said, limited intelligence. And the problem throughout always is that intelligence is not shared when it should be shared. There's a lot of questions that has to be asked there also, both outside and within the country, in the light of what you just said. What were those blasts which took place? How did they happen? Where did this Hindu terror thing come from? So those are very
There's so much more I would like to share on this broadcast right now and learn from you on this broadcast on Hindu terror, because we have three of the finest voices, Sushant Sareen, Dr. Vikram Singh and Dr. Tara Kartha joining us on this broadcast. You know how Ishrat Jahan suddenly became Bihar ki beti, the politics with terror in our country, how that charge sheet was changed, how the Samjhauta Express charge sheet was changed, how the Malegaon blast, and I had Mr. P.K. Jain with me on the broadcast, Dr. Vikram Singh. Mr. P.K. Jain, as additional DGP of Mumbai, he was just a short while back telling me on the broadcast, and we'll play out his reaction. He was telling us how they had investigated, they had arrested Pakistani terrorists, they had arrested Pakistani elements in response. Arif Kasmani, incidentally, in Samjhauta, had already been named. In the UN, he had been named, and that was changed to Hindu terror. Malegaon, the real terrorists were permitted to go scot-free. Wrong chaps were taken into custody, according to Mr. Jain. This just goes on to show that we were playing with fire that burnt us, leading to 166 deaths in Mumbai.
You're very right. Now is the time. In fact, the time has come now for the NIA to investigate these flip-flops and these somersaults, because these somersaults are not innocent somersaults. These somersaults are insidious and anti-national. I repeat, insidious, venomous and anti-national. And every dramatist persona who has participated in this insidious design needs to be shamed and exposed and charge-sheeted. What were the compulsions of saying Ishrat Jahan is a Bihar ki beti? For what? And for what reason? For vote bank politics? For appeasement? Well, that's a different story. But the fact of the matter, what Mr. P.K. Jain said, I feel that for every Mr. P.K. Jain, there are 10 more indignant police officers and investigators who feel that a national wrong has been committed. And the time has come now, the NIA need to expose every such move of every person. And what are the compulsions of saying Hafiz G, Osama G, and whitewashing the black deeds of terrorists and anti-national elements. The time has come now, but I wish there were more Gaurav Sawantjis who would raise this topic at least and say that a national shame and a wrong has been committed. Well, indeed, I do hope that this is taken forward. The MHA and the IB are listening to your program and they take a step forward, and this is made a part of the investigation plan also.
Sir, I know of an undersecretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs who was burnt with cigarette butts. I've spoken to him. I had spoken to him, and Sushant Sareen knows that he was burnt with cigarette butts to change his charge sheet or his inputs on Ishrat Jahan, but that's a debate for a separate day. We know of how Samjhauta, and like today, like we're anchoring a long bulletin today, we were anchoring when Samjhauta was suddenly from Arif Kasmani, Sushant Sareen, from Arif Kasmani being responsible for Lashkar-e-Taiba being responsible, suddenly it was mentioned that it was so-called Hindu terror. It just blew up in India's face, whatever was the plan, and perhaps there was an attempt to term 2611 as that same Hindu terror. It just goes on to show that a lot more needs to be investigated, Sushant Sareen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're talking about Mr. Mani, but along with him, there was another very distinguished IB officer, Mr. Yes. Rajendra Kumar, if I'm getting his name correct.
Special IB Commissioner.
He was harassed so much. He was one of the most intrepid IB officers in this country. And these guys went after him with a vengeance. Why? Because they wanted to give a clean check to the Pakistanis. Can you believe this? And this is the way you carry out investigation. This is the kind of loyalty you show to your country. I think these people should be ashamed. They are as shameless as the people in Pakistan are, for having done what they did. But, you get hold of you do an investigation, you get to the bottom of it, and then finally you see some person coming in and sabotaging the case. You're talking about Ishrat Jahan. Let's talk about that criminal Sohrabuddin, right? Yes. These guys pretended as though Sohrabuddin was some kind of Mother Teresa. He was a third-rate criminal indulging in gun running.
Gun runner.
Gaurav, the problem is that once
One
you
of the
start
finest police officers was put in jail.
you destroy
Yes.
your entire fight against terrorism.
Yes, yes, yes. And we'll talk about these cases in the next several days. And I hope we have an opportunity to talk about these cases in the couple of days. But Dr. Tara Kartha, what information will we get from this villain? The first image that you see exclusively on India Today of Tahawwur Rana then and now. What do we hope? What are those gaps, Dr. Tara Kartha, that we can fill in the enemy within and the enemy across, madam?
You can't think what happiness it gives me to see this character caught, because this is something very personal to us. Okay, what can he be done is during the time that Headley was in India, all communications with Headley was never from Pakistan. It was from Pakistan to Rana, Rana to Headley. That link I want to know. I'm not sure where those tapes are. I'm pretty sure the US has a bunch of them. Whether they've shared them or not, I don't know. I'm hoping we have something on that, but that is going to be a focus on what this man spoke. There was other targets also, which I perhaps am not at liberty to state, but there were other targets also being recceed. And let me tell you something, the Lashkar has a habit. They are very thorough. They are, after all, a Pakistani army trained outfit. They do a minimum of 3 to 4 thorough reconnaissance before an attack. So that is their tradition. Second thing, like you said, is you've got a bunch of people whom we already know from his David Headley's testimony that he was assisted by somebody met him at the airport, somebody helped him with XYZ, but there are other people who were involved in this. So we need to get that clear. Especially what I would personally really like to know is, how is it that such a bunch of ex-army people, ex-Pakistan army people,
yes,
forget the regular army types, they were thoroughly involved, that is, we know. There were a bunch of ex-army people involved. Yeah, this guy, Headley, Abdur Rahman, who studied in Pakistan Military Academy. I mean, what is, it's amazing. It is, if I were an agency doing something, agencies do these things, right? I would recruit someone else. These are all ex-army guys. It's amazing.
That would just, what would that indicate, Dr. Vikram Singh? Dr. Tara Kartha is absolutely right. And they're Abdalis, they're all Abdalians, from Hassan Abdal Military Academy, especially David Coleman Headley and Tahawwur Rana. And perhaps it was this band of rogues in touch with other Abdalians. They were in a group with other Abdalians who were serving in Pakistan Army, and that too would shed more details, and the FBI has a lot more details. Perhaps that India-America cooperation, Dr. Vikram Singh, will shed more light on the role of Pakistani state elements here.
We have several dimensions to the issues raised by Dr. Taraji, in the sense that there is a close user group in Pakistan known as Abdalians, and both David Coleman Headley and also Tahawwur were a part of this insidious group. They exchanged the beheadings, they exchanged the various jihadi literature, and also why they failed in the Denmark attack on the newspaper. Also, it was the close user group duly supported, aided and abetted by the Pakistani deep state, as also the ISI. Now, coming to the fact that what was the roadmap for attacking India, because that is their only oxygen and the lifeline, and therefore 1,000 cuts was in fact that they were planning to, and Ghazwa-e Hind. Now the Pakistan involvement and also the tapes, I'm sure America has them, I'm sure we have them, but this is too sensitive a matter even to be discussed and disclosed. You had Mr. Behera on your show. You have an opportunity of speaking to Mr. Sadanand, but I'm sure they are on very, very comfortable wicket. And I'm sure a befitting investigation with an appropriate and a scientific roadmap and an investigation plan will see to it that the ends of justice are ensured. And indeed, he goes the same way as Kasab did.
Sincerely hope so. Former Home Secretary G.K. Pillai, he said India has enough evidence to ensure he's convicted. According to him, enough evidence even to ensure that this man responsible for 166 deaths of Indians, Americans, Jewish people, Europeans, he's actually sent to the gallows. I hope, India has that kind of evidence and it comes out in public domain. But is it also a fit case in your appreciation, Sushant Sareen, for Pakistan, once that evidence comes out in public domain of involvement of Pakistani state elements, to put Pakistan once again back in the Financial Action Task Force grey list and ensure no more World Bank funding for the terror state?
Yeah, Gaurav, as far as the Financial Action Task Force is concerned, the Pakistanis have already pulled a fast one on them. So forget, even if you remove the 26/11 attacks and how they've been dealing with, the people involved in these attacks inside Pakistan, even if you keep that aside, the very fact that the Pakistanis have simply not lived up to their commitments, which they made to the FATF on getting holds of people like Masood Azhar. They claim, they've told the FATF, we have no idea where this guy is. On Sajid Mir, who incidentally used to come on a cricket visa, apparently. There are some reports that he would come on a cricket visa, and there are idiots in India who want to play cricket matches with Pakistan, and including people who have served in the police services, who say, no, aane do yaar, these guys don't do anything. So Sajid Mir incidentally came as that. The Sajid Mir, who they had declared dead, they dug him out from the grave, they've sentenced him, but nobody knows in which jail he is. Nobody has any idea where he is. So they have actually taken eyewash of action. And I think the Indian agencies need to work double time to ensure that we apprise the FATF on what the Pakistanis, how the Pakistanis are hoodwinking the FATF, how they have not changed their entire association with these terror organizations, how they are continuing to fund this entire terror finance network, allowing
and try to change the
Okay, give me a moment as we put out that first picture on India Today of that Pakistani terrorist Tahawwur Rana in the custody of the National Investigation Agency. In that picture you see, of course, just give us a moment as we rotate it. This picture has just come in. It has just come into India Today, and we wanted you to see it first. We want our viewers to be first to see news as it happens. This Pakistani terrorist Tahawwur Rana with a Canadian passport, he used that Canadian passport to breeze in and out of India, to open a company in India, a branch of a company. He opened the office in Chicago, and I visited that office in Chicago. I've reported from that office. This is that first picture that you see of Tahawwur Rana, and in just a moment we'll see his face, perhaps. These are NIA officers who are holding him physically now as they take him for a medical examination and then subsequently to take him to court. And Sushant Sareen, there are many gaps that will be filled. The point that Dr. Vikram Singh was raising about that bogey of Hindu terror, Rana and Headley knew India well, and they knew how India could be gamed. Use Pakistani terrorists and blame it on India and blame it as Hindu terror, Sushant Sareen.
Gaurav, I think we need to start asking the question, were they gamed or were they told that this is how this will play out, that there will be a certain lobby in India that will use these particular symbols and try and change the narrative? And subsequently also, as Dr. Singh very correctly puts it, even much later, there were people who were trying to spread this canard and trying to construct all kinds of conspiracy theories. It was so mindless, but they continued to insist on it. Their hatred and their dislike for a particular ideology or for a particular party was far more than whatever love they had for their country, if at all they had any love. So it is very clear where these guys were coming from. And Gaurav, what is even worse is that 26/11 wasn't the first time this happened. This has happened in the past as well, from the 1993 bomb blast in Mumbai, in which hundreds of people were killed. You go out
257, sir.
Subsequent events. Again, you try and deflect the Samjhauta Express. You try and deflect a particular investigation. You try and sow doubts. You change the complete direction of an investigation and try and absolve the guys who actually did what they did, even though the UN had actually identified the mastermind of the Samjhauta Express incident. There were people in India, including in the government. Now, when a government of the day, for settling political scores, starts derailing investigations and taking them to another side simply because of political reasons, then I think serious questions need to be asked: who they were batting for, what they were trying to play at. And I think this is something, it's deeply unfortunate that this kind of a thing would happen, because terrorism is terrorism, right? Everybody keeps saying, if it is terrorism, then how come you try and create that in 1993 there was an additional bomb blast which took place in a Muslim area to try and show that this was a secular act of terrorism? That we have journalists who insist that Dawood Ibrahim is a very secular guy. Tiger Memon was a very secular guy until he turned a fanatic, right? We have people making those cases. So, if you have a country like this, you have a fifth column in a country like this, it becomes so much easier for terrorists to carry out their dastardly plans. And then, of course, you make a show and dance about that, yes, we will take action. But what action did you take that when you were advised that this is Pakistan? The initial reaction from the government of India at that point of time was, we suspect non-state actors. Why did you suspect non-state actors? Could a non-state actor carry out as monumental an attack as this without the complicity and the connivance of the state in Pakistan? It is inconceivable for something like that to happen. That was one. So you tried to, absolve the Pakistani state. You did that. Then what did you do? That you were told that let's go and attack Pakistan and teach them a lesson. What did you do? You asked a visiting delegation of Americans for permission. Can I do this? Do you ask another country for permission to take your revenge? Do you do this? Does any government do something like this? So, we've had this kind of a namby-pamby culture in this country, which is why everybody thinks that this is a country you can just kick it and, get away with it. Look at the bloody Pakistanis today, yeah? They're so shameless, these wretches. They say, oh, but we have nothing to do with this guy. He's a Canadian citizen. Arey Baba, your guys were involved in the plot. Your guys were in communication with this guy. Your guys were telling him what to do and what not to do. He was hatching and arranging the logistics because of your guys telling him this, and you very simply and very blithely you say, we have nothing to do with this. They're so shameless, these wretches. And you will have people in India say, but we cannot be always on the tenterhooks with the Pakistanis. We have to make up with them. So let us start with playing cricket with them. Let their actors come out here. We will go down. So, if the moment you do something like this, the other guy thinks you're a pushover. You know what the Pakistanis
and they thought
say
we are
about
pushovers. They thought we are pushovers, that we'll only talk about our ki ladai till the time a Balakot happened and a surgical strike happened. Then they knew that their BAP is here and this is not going to happen. And I want to talk about that in greater detail, but I want to play out these two images on your television screen. So that is Tahawwur Rana earlier. And this is the latest image of that Pakistani-Canadian terrorist Tahawwur Rana. He studied at the Hassan Abdal Military Academy in Pakistan. He's 64 years old now. 17 years earlier, that man was not only wrecking multiple locations in our country, but he was also celebrating. Now, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the information they were able to gather, when he saw 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks images on his television screen as he watched that terror plan unfold, he celebrated and he wanted every Pakistani terrorist who was killed in India and Kasab to be awarded Pakistan's highest national military award. So for him, it was victory. For him, it was Ghazwa-e-Hind against Kafirs. And now that so-called warrior of that Ghazwa-e-Hind is in shackles as he's brought to India. And hopefully that entire military jihad complex will be brought to its knees, Tara Karta. That is the need of the hour, to punish Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror through evidence put out in public domain for the world to see, madam.
Absolutely, yes. I think a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of these details, a lot of them we already know, but this is all going to come out now. It's going to come out in headlines. It's going to be shared with partners in the US. It's going to be shared with Israel. Don't forget, Israelis also died in this attack. So this is now an international investigation, and the Pakistanis have a choice of either cooperating, which of course is wildly quite impossible, but or understanding that, they're going to get cornered on this, that this is not on. But there's one thing I'd like to say in response to what you were talking about. You remember there was the Ajmer Sharif blast and the Hazrat Nizamuddin blast. There were a trail of blasts before this to show that there is this Hindu terror taking place, right? That was very worrying. But on the other hand, I also want to emphasize that within the government at the time, when I was also there at the time, there was a very, very clear understanding that this was Pakistan. The Joint Intelligence Committee in which I was there, we put that report out that, look, there's going to be an attack on a hotel, 5-star hotel in Bombay. This warning was given. And this was based on, like I said, limited intelligence. And the problem throughout always is that intelligence is not shared when it should be shared. There's a lot of questions that has to be asked there also, both outside and within the country, in the light of what you just said. What were those blasts which took place? How did they happen? Where did this Hindu terror thing come from? So those are very
There's so much more I would like to share on this broadcast right now and learn from you on this broadcast on Hindu terror, because we have three of the finest voices, Sushant Sareen, Dr. Vikram Singh and Dr. Tara Kartha joining us on this broadcast. You know how Ishrat Jahan suddenly became Bihar ki beti, the politics with terror in our country, how that charge sheet was changed, how the Samjhauta Express charge sheet was changed, how the Malegaon blast, and I had Mr. P.K. Jain with me on the broadcast, Dr. Vikram Singh. Mr. P.K. Jain, as additional DGP of Mumbai, he was just a short while back telling me on the broadcast, and we'll play out his reaction. He was telling us how they had investigated, they had arrested Pakistani terrorists, they had arrested Pakistani elements in response. Arif Kasmani, incidentally, in Samjhauta, had already been named. In the UN, he had been named. And that was changed to Hindu terror. Malegaon, the real terrorists were permitted to go scot-free. Wrong chaps were taken into custody, according to Mr. Jain. This just goes on to show that we were playing with fire that burnt us, leading to 166 deaths in Mumbai.
You're very right. Now is the time. In fact, the time has come now for the NIA to investigate these flip-flops and these somersaults, because these somersaults are not innocent somersaults. These somersaults are insidious and anti-national. I repeat, insidious, venomous and anti-national. And every dramatist persona who has participated in this insidious design needs to be shamed and exposed and charge-sheeted. What were the compulsions of saying Ishrat Jahan is a Bihar ki beti? For what? And for what reason? For vote bank politics? For appeasement? Well, that's a different story. But the fact of the matter, what Mr. P.K. Jain said, I feel that for every Mr. P.K. Jain, there are 10 more indignant police officers and investigators who feel that a national wrong has been committed. And the time has come now, the NIA need to expose every such move of every person. And what are the compulsions of saying Hafiz G, Osama G, and whitewashing the black deeds of terrorists and anti-national elements. The time has come now, but I wish there were more Gaurav Sawantjis who would raise this topic at least and say that a national shame and a wrong has been committed. Well, indeed, I do hope that this is taken forward. The MHA and the IB are listening to your program and they take a step forward, and this is made a part of the investigation plan also.
Sir, I know of a...
But the big story that we are breaking, key 2611 plotter Tahawwur Rana, who landed at New Delhi's Palam airport a short while ago, is to be taken now to the NIA court. NIA has already formally arrested Tahawwur Rana. The first images that we got a short while ago were of the back of the 2611 plotter, who has for the last decade been evading extradition to India. Finally, the US courts extradited him, and Rana has now landed on Indian soil. He will be taken to an NIA court. Prosecutor defense lawyers are currently at the NIA court, where the proceedings will take place shortly. He's expected then to be taken into custody, and the interrogation will continue. Let's get the very latest from Shivani Sharma, who joins us live from the NIA headquarters, and Nalini Sharma, who's at the NIA court at the moment. Shivani, first to you. Tahawwur Rana landed earlier this evening. What happens next?
Tahawwur Rana has landed in India at around 6:30 p.m. at the Palam airport, and he has been formally arrested by the NIA. We also saw the first pictures, though, of his back. This was the first picture that has been released by the NIA when he has been arrested after a medical that was done when he landed here at Palam. And shortly he will be coming to the NIA court at the Patiala House Court, where all the preparations have been done. And we know that the NIA wants to take custody of Rana for investigations to move further. And NIA has also prepared the NIA headquarters so that after the custody is granted to the NIA, he can be brought to the NIA headquarters. The DG has been monitoring the extradition and also the preparations here for the investigations to start. So this is a big day when Tahawwur Rana has landed in India after a long battle from India, and the agencies have accompanied him from America to India. And now, after the court hears the matter and the NIA puts all those reasons for which the custody should be granted to the NIA, the court will be deciding upon whether the custody should be given to the NIA or he should be kept in police custody, and he might also be moved to Tihar jail. So the proceedings will move as soon as possible after Rana reaches the court, and the preparations are all done. The NIA headquarters, the court has been sanitized.
Let's go to the NIA court where Nalini Sharma, who spearheads our legal team, joins us. Nalini, you had got access to the dossier the NIA has prepared against Tahawwur Rana. What exactly are the charges that the NIA intends to bring against him? What does the NIA believe it has, which is foolproof enough to ensure that they can perhaps give the maximum penalty to Tahawwur Rana?
Well, Rajdeep, what the sources within the team prosecution have told us at India Today is that they are developing a watertight case against Tahawwur Rana, including all of the details that they have accessed during the course of the investigation done so far. What we are given to understand from the NIA charge sheet is that the main case against Tahawwur Rana is the larger conspiracy case between him and David Headley about how logistical and financial support was provided by Tahawwur Rana to David Headley during the several visits that David Headley made to India. In fact, Tahawwur Rana himself had also visited India just 5 days before the attacks had happened on the 26th of November 2008. On the 21st of November, he left India. So all of those aspects will be looked into by the NIA, and more importantly, now that the NIA will likely get custody of Tahawwur Rana, they are also going to interrogate him. So this is not just the only limited amount of allegations or charges that will be levied against him. There is a possibility that more things related to the same incident of the 26/11 attacks might come out into the public domain after the NIA has had some chance to interrogate Tahawwur Rana, who has been a key piece and a key link into the entire conspiracy that was hatched to create terror during the 26/11 attacks. So only after the interrogation is when we can know whether or not there will be any additional charges levied on him for which he can eventually be tried. For today, what we are expecting in the court is going to be a custody hearing where the NIA is likely to seek maximum custody of Tahawwur Rana. We are given to understand that might extend to 30 days considering the seriousness of his crimes, and in some certain special circumstances, it can also be extended to more than 30 days. So remains to be seen how long the custody NIA asks for, and also what Tahawwur Rana's lawyer, who's been appointed by the State Legal Services Authority, is going to say in his defense, because they are going to try and get some sort of leniency on medical grounds, because Tahawwur Rana, ever since his time in the US, has been saying that there are several ailments that he's suffering with, because of which he needs urgent medical care.
Very quickly though, you said that the links, as the dossier of the NIA makes it very clear, is Tahawwur Rana and David Headley being involved in the larger plot, the conspiracy of 26/11. Now, David Headley is in the United States and the US has allowed him to stay there. He had a plea bargain and therefore he will not be brought back. Tahawwur Rana and his links to the Lashkar-e-Taiba, to Hafiz Saeed, to Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, and the conspirators also presumably will be part of what we are told is a pretty detailed questionnaire the NIA has prepared.
Well, absolutely, Rajdeep. And the reason for that is because Tahawwur Rana played such a key role in planning out the attacks, because without his involvement, there was no link that could be ascertained with David Headley back to India, because all of the logistical support, all the financial support while David Headley was in India was arranged by Tahawwur Rana only. Along with that, he was also in regular touch with members of the LET. In fact, David Headley had gone all the way to Chicago to meet Tahawwur Rana when the planning for the attack had begun, and they'd had a detailed discussion. And it was on instructions of Hafiz Saeed that Tahawwur Rana had also visited Dubai to meet with the people regarding this entire attack. So it's a very key role that Tahawwur Rana has played in this entire conspiracy. He's also in the know-how of not only the 26/11 attacks, but also what kind of future attacks were being planned by the LET at that particular point. So possibly it's NIA is going to be asking him questions regarding those plans that were being made by the terrorist organizations at that time to create terror in India. As to what kind of answers he gives, if any, or whether he'll just evade, is something that we'll know only once the interrogation happens.
Okay, we'll wait and see how that happens. But at the moment, pretty certain that he will be in NIA's custody, possibly for as long as 30 days. Nalini and Shivani for joining me. Appreciate you giving us the latest details there. Now, Tahawwur Rana's extradition is a big win for the Modi government and Indian investigators. A former captain in the Pakistani army, Rana was a key figure in planning and coordinating the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack. It was Rana in particular who helped David Coleman Headley, the man who surveyed the terror targets in Mumbai, get entry into India and then open a front for the Lashkar-e-Taiba. Divyesh Singh and Nalini Sharma now decode for you the importance of Tahawwur Rana.
The 26/11 terror attacks were planned and executed. Captain Tahawwur Rana is one of the key co-conspirators of the 26/11 attack. The man who provided logistic, financial and other support to David Coleman Headley. Headley conducted extensive surveillance of targets in Mumbai, acting as a link between LET and Pakistan's spy agency ISI. David Headley took Rana's help to travel to India. It was Tahawwur Rana who obtained the visa for David Headley by giving wrong information at the Indian consulate in Chicago. David Headley, in conspiracy with Tahawwur Rana, started an immigration firm in Mumbai. The company First World International was used as a cover for carrying out LET and Huji operations.
This is the same locality where in 2006, Tahawwur Rana set up a branch office of his immigration and visa agency. Between 2006 and 2008, using this agency office of Tahawwur Rana, David Coleman Headley made 4 to 5 trips to Mumbai and scouted for various locations. These locations were pinpointed by him using a GPS unit and then shared with the terrorists who carried out the attacks on 26 November 2008.
In June 2006, Headley travelled to Chicago, where he met with Rana and discussed the entire terror plot. Since Rana was a former Pakistan Army captain, Headley assured him of all help through Pakistan ISI handler Major Iqbal.
I am at the office of Tahawwur Hussain Rana, the First World Immigration Office at Devon Avenue. This is where Tahawwur Hussain Rana used to sit. David Coleman Headley used this First World Immigration, the name of this office, to spread terror, not just in India, but also in Denmark. Devon Avenue is called Chicago's Chandni Chowk. But here at Chicago's Chandni Chowk, now there is genuine fear that undercover agents would be seen in larger numbers.
Upon landing in India, a contact of Tahawwur Rana